My name is Daniel, and a year ago anyone who asked would have heard the same thing from me. I had a great marriage. I believed in us. I believed we were solid. The last few years I'd been aimed at one thing, building our future. My business was finally taking off, and I was expanding into new cities, more travel, longer stretches away, sometimes days, sometimes weeks. It wasn't vanity, it was for us. I thought the grind would be worth it. Life has a way of flattening you at the exact moment you start to think the plan is working. The day it happened, the truth didn't need to be hunted. It showed up, uninvited, and it hit harder than anything I'd braced for. I was on a trip, and everything was moving the right direction. Productive meetings, deals about to close, thoughts already drifting toward getting home to my wife. I was exhausted and satisfied, the kind of tired that feels like progress. Then my phone rang. It was Mark, a friend I've known long enough to recognize when something is wrong from one word. He sounded hesitant, uneasy, like he didn't want to carry what he was about to say. Daniel, listen, man. I wasn't sure I should even call you, but I can't keep this to myself. I just saw Sophia coming out of a hotel with another man. For a few seconds I said nothing. The brain buys time by pretending it misheard. Mark isn't the type to joke with a loaded gun. I took photos, he said. Didn't know if I should, but I had a bad feeling. I'll send them now. The message buzzed in. My fingers felt stiff opening it. There she was, Sophia, stepping out of a hotel lobby, not alone. A man I didn't know beside her. I didn't call to yell. I just stared at the screen while truth sat down across from me. Danny? You there? Mark pulled me back. Yeah, I said, forcing calm into the word. I didn't want to be the guy who told you, but you needed to know. I wasn't angry at him. I was grateful. He didn't owe me that, but he did it anyway. And deep down, I knew I needed to know. The question was what to do with it. I came home early. No call ahead. No text. I walked in the front door. Sophia was in the kitchen, humming, chopping vegetables. She turned, smiled. How was your trip? I nodded, answered casually, watched her move, heard her talk. I waited for the right moment. Then, when she least expected it, I said, "Unlock your phone." Silence. The air thickened. Her smile faltered. Then she tried to staple it back on with a small laugh. What? Why? She pitched it playful, but I saw her fingers tremble. I stayed quiet and waited. Daniel, come on. This is ridiculous. Unlock it, I said. Steady, no heat. A simple demand. She crossed her arms, forced another laugh. You don't trust me after all these years? I didn't argue. I reached and took the phone, held it between us. Her face drained. Unlock it now, or I'm walking out that door and never looking back. For a long breath, she didn't move, searching the room for an exit that wasn't a door. There wasn't one. Her hands shook as she took the phone, hesitated over the screen, then gave in. The lock screen disappeared. A line of unread messages waited, some from a saved contact, some from numbers that didn't live in my phone. I opened one, then another, and another. It was all there, explicit texts, photos, videos, things I never imagined my wife sending to anyone, and some she'd also sent to me so I wouldn't notice the duplication. Hotel reservations, late-night chats, plans to meet up while I was away working, detailed messages about me, how I was too busy, too distracted, how I trusted her too much to notice, how my absence bought her freedom. The words blurred for a second, but I didn't stop. I needed to see who she was when I wasn't in the room. Sophia folded onto the couch, sobbing into her hands like the guilt had just been installed. I'm sorry. I was lonely. You're never home, Daniel. I just... The words came out in gasps. I didn't mean for it to happen. I love you. Please, let me explain. I didn't react the way she had scripted it. Silently, I took screenshots, transferred the files to myself, and set the phone back on the table. I met her eyes. I don't need to hear your excuses. I walked past her shaking shoulders, into the bedroom, and started packing the things I hadn't brought on the last trip: clothes, documents, everything I needed to walk out and mean it. I moved into a temporary apartment, blocked her number, and cut contact. If she had something to say, she could say it to my lawyer. I called him and filed for divorce immediately. That was the difference between us. She acted on impulse, out of selfishness. I acted with purpose. Everything went through legal channels. No mediation, no drawn-out performative conversations, no emotional theater, just a clean break. For the first time in months, I could breathe. Pain didn't evaporate overnight. There's no morning where loss forgets your address. But I had a choice: to sit in it or repurpose it. I chose the latter. I threw myself into the business like a man with a second spine. The expansion I'd planned, I made it happen fast. I didn't just move into new cities. I rebranded my life. Day by day, the weight shifted position. I wasn't healing because time was kind. I was healing because I demanded it. Months passed, and one morning I barely recognized the man in the mirror. Stronger, sharper, wealthier. By then, the divorce was almost done. It dragged only because she wanted more than I was willing to give. The best part? I felt nothing for her. No anger, no grief, no love, just indifference. And indifference is the cleanest revenge. After months of silence, after rebuilding in a new city, after learning how to breathe without betrayal sitting on my chest, she came back. It was late, past dinner. I'd just wrapped up work and wanted a shower and sleep. There was a knock. I almost ignored it. Something told me to look. I opened the door. Sophia stood there in the dim porch, light eyes red and swollen, tear tracks visible. It wasn't that which stopped me. It was her stomach. Round, heavy, pregnant. We stared at each other for a long few seconds, and then she broke. Through sobs and hiccups, she told me she'd made a mistake, spent months crying herself to sleep, haunted by guilt, missing me, wishing she could undo it. She swore she never stopped loving me, that loneliness had pushed her into stupid decisions. Then the final line: "Daniel, this is your baby." She said it like a rope tossed to a drowning man. She wanted another chance, a family, promises. This time she'd be faithful. She'd changed. I listened. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I reminded myself why she was here. Need, not love. I let her finish every practiced apology and promise. When she stopped and looked up with wet hope, I nodded. "All right, let's get a DNA test." Her face changed mid-word. The tears stopped. Panic rose. "What?" She laughed, nerves crackling. "How could you even ask me that? You think I would lie about something like this?" I kept looking at her. She accused me of cruelty, said I was punishing her, said I should trust her like I always had, said asking for a test proved I'd never really loved her. In that moment, I saw it clearly. If there was nothing to hide, there'd be nothing to fear. If she was certain, she'd agree instantly. But she didn't. She fought it. I took a breath and set my hand on the door. "If you won't take the test," I said, calm, "I have nothing to say to you." I closed the door. I thought I had already seen the end of her deceit. I was wrong. Months after I turned her away, after making it clear I wanted no part of her or her pregnancy, I got served. She was taking me to court for abandoning my child, the same child she refused to test. The irony could have written itself. She painted herself as a victim, told the court I'd coldly walked out when she needed me, refused responsibility, left her to suffer. It was a neat story. She cried, sniffled, played the part perfectly. To anyone who didn't know, she looked like a woman betrayed. There was one problem. She was lying. I wasn't the man she used to manipulate. I had money, resources, and more importantly, the will to fight. So I hired the best lawyers in the city, professionals who make a living dismantling courtroom performances. The trial was blunt force. My team wasted no time. They laid out every piece her affairs, her refusal to take a DNA test, her attempts at extortion, the timeline that contradicted her script. They showed how she tried to twist the system, playing victim when she had detonated our marriage. Every lie met a fact. Every act met evidence. By the time my lawyers finished, the room that had whispered about an abandoned pregnant woman was whispering about her deceit. She had no defense left. She came to ruin me and ruined herself instead. The judge didn't just rule in my favor. He issued a cease and desist, no contact of any kind. She lost, publicly. There was no curtain to pull down over that. Walking out of the courthouse, I remembered the man who almost pitied her at my doorstep. After everything, the lies, the manipulation, the audacity to sue me over a child she wouldn't even prove was mine, I was just grateful I never let her back in. In the end, this taught me one thing. Don't let guilt or manipulation rewrite your value. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. I ignored the warnings. I trusted blindly. I paid. But when I walked away, I didn't look back. If someone tries to guilt trip, manipulate, or use their own choices to make you responsible, stand your ground. Some people don't come back out of love, they come back out of desperation. If you let them in, they'll break you the same way twice. What would you have done? Would you have handled it this way, or given her another chance? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you made it to the end, thank you. If this story hits something true, like, share, and subscribe. There's more where this came from.